Hey, this is Nick from Remedy667.com, the best place on the internet for horror-themed fonts and typefaces. And today is Horror Font Friday, and we're taking a look at this double-billing pressbook from Blood from the Mummy's Tomb and Night of the Blood Monster. Double feature. And on the inside of this, one of the ads had this really great piece of lettering here that says two hideous tales of torture and terror. And this lettering is only on one of the ad sizes. On the other ones, my guess is that they removed the word torture and somebody else lettered it because all the other ones just say two hideous tales of terror. But yeah, it just looks cool. Our movie today we got going in the background is Creature of the Walking Dead from 1965. And enough of my foolishness. Let's get on into this. I cleaned this up best I could, but it looked like there was a little tear in the paper. So there's some little excess pieces of black here that I'm going to go ahead and just remove. I don't know if I'm going to keep these ligatures all the way or not. A lot of these dots that are in the middle of these letters, I'm also going to go ahead and get rid of. So to do that, I'm going to want my Pathfinder, which is right here. And just gonna go ahead and do that on those letters. You notice I'm skipping some. That's because they have the center that I don't want to clear out, and because a lot of these only have one dot on them, I'm just gonna delete them like that. I guess that one had two. That one I could have done the other way. But whatever, it's done now. I think it's looking a little less cool, but I might be able to add some of those in later. I've been messing. Last month I had played around with the Night of the Cobra Woman font, which we did on here, but then before the initial release, which we called Nota del Cobra. I don't know if I'm saying that correct or not, or just sounding like a jerk. But I did some like press effects on that for the release because I wanted variation. I really enjoy having, you know, multiple versions of letters that kind of rotate. But anyway, blah 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 blah. I'm getting way off track. I think I'm actually going to duplicate. No, never mind. Stop. Don't listen to me. I'm going to save the ligatures though. So go ahead and get our A. That is a cool ligature. We want to ungroup these. Looks like every time there's a T, all the tops kind of move down a little bit. So this A is actually going to come back up when we get to that. This of, I think I'm just going to use that as like a catchword. So maybe I'll do like of the, with, from, for, and then do those for like English, German, and Italian, maybe French. It's Spanish. I think I'm going to use this as my main T. U. We got an O. This is going to be our R. HI. So there actually isn't a whole lot in here, even though it does have a lot of words. Just none of them really have a lot of lettering, or a lot of letters that aren't in most of them. So we have a TUR. The W's pretty much the only one left. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to do one more thing before we dive into this and go crazy. I'm going to remove some points. And then just clean up. Fix selected. And clean points again. All right. So that's just going to give us, I noticed like on the T or something, there was like just a ton of points. So just got rid of some. We are going to go ahead, because we have all these alternates, we're going to use those for building out our similar letters. So let's move this over here. Go ahead and make those all even, and let's turn on our guides layer and get our guides over here. Welcome to August. So first thing this month, I'm not going to be releasing these, at least not on a weekly basis. I'm still going to make videos on a weekly basis, but I just need to kind of just do these like 1 week ahead most of the time. So what's going to happen now is, I don't know, just going to make YouTube videos once a week. And then if you like any of these typefaces and you want to check them out or purchase them, but they don't exist, you go ahead and I don't know, shoot me an email, and I can probably, you know, get them out there for you. It'll probably take me about a week. To get them released, but all right. So with the C, because I'm making it from an O and I don't really have a whole lot of cool reference to go from, I'm going to use the H. So
are you referring to a state of mind or the realm beyond our comprehension?
In my opinion, the two are inseparable. Only that the degree of comprehending the so-called mysteries of life varies in each individual.
Whoops, this goes up a little further. So that gives us, might be a little too crunchy over here.
Understanding what is, he therefore is capable of exercising many things.
You know, something that never came out in the papers and my curiosity aroused was the length of time. That is, how long was he actually involved with these experiments? Well, I know of 3 or 4 people who were going to his office right up to the
Group C. Now you notice our C's kind of tilting over. You'll also notice that I'm tilting stage right and it's stage left because I'm looking at a mirror of it. I'm just going to go ahead and rock it the other way just to get it kind of straightened out a bit. And that's going to, yep. That's exactly what I was thinking. Just going to move up a little bit like that. For our G, we're actually going to use a different one. You know what? I'm just going to make the B right now. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I'm going to make it from 2 R's. I have a lot of R's. I might as well, you know. So that's going to be our bottom one. You notice what I did there on the left side? I kind of tried to mimic the bottom of it a little bit, because that's going to be where the bottom sits. I mean, it's going to look, it's going to have those similarities.
So it seems were many others, while those that involve themselves to the extent of seeing really inside the case. As much to the observer
This is actually probably not going to end up being as wide. Oh, I want this A.
Dr. Malthus.
I thought this in my head.
I don't know. 30, 33 maybe.
I just need that to come up a little bit, because the reason that A like kind of went on the a pretty intense angle was because it's got to sit right next to the T. And if you remember, the T's kind of building its own ligature game.
You know, my wife Jenny used to say,
All right, so that's how our B is going to look. Let me go ahead and just destroy
and you honestly believe
that
the
and turn it into one shape
experiment
from the get.
gave him some sort of
I'm going to pull this down so that this center part sits on the baseline, and I don't really want the top to overshoot that much, but I do want it to a little bit. So just go ahead and kind of smooth these out a little bit. I have that there, so I don't necessarily need that. I want this to come in a little bit and not back that far, but definitely a little bit.
Malthus is a most unusual man. He had secrets that perhaps none of us could believe possible.
I want that to be out a little bit, which also means this one is going to come over just a tiny,
As far as I'm concerned,
and smooth that. Our G, for the G, I'm going to use the L. And no, I'm not going to use the L. Strike that, reverse it. I'm going to use this E. Sorry, I didn't mean to zoom out quite so much. I got a little trapped. And I'm going to use the I for our top, which is going to cut right there. We'll cut that there. And for the G, I want to actually use that middle one. We're going to go ahead and reflect that on the vertical axes. And that gives us a pretty good looking G. It's got the similar drips and stuff that we've got going on in other letters. Our H and our I are well taken care of. I'm not gonna skip the J. Wow, look at us. We're not skipping all the foolishness we normally do. Doing pretty good. We're not gonna skip the J because we have so much reference. Even though it's a lot of duplicate letters, it's like we have the U's. We have a ton of R's. More R's than we know what to do with. So we're able to kind of just go right into here. I want this to actually be up a little bit, so same thing, mimicking the shape there. This one also feels a little right heavy, so I'm just going to angle it a tiny bit just to get it more upright feeling like a J. Gonna go ahead and cut these there and there. I think this one I'm gonna keep as the bottom of the K. And then this one's gonna be the top. So I'm gonna transform, reflect. This one's gonna go on the horizontal axes. And I'm going to pull it down a little bit. And whoop, give me 1 second. Let me check my phone. All right, so I think I'm going to do a little bit of drawing on this K. There. And this side, I actually want to tuck in. I think that's a pretty good looking K. It kind of matches the vibe. Just gonna pull it over a little bit. L, I want that line right there to sit on my baseline. All right. So I'm going to make the M and the N out of the H. And I'm actually going to make the M for, well, that, I don't know what I'm talking. I'm actually going to do them in order. I'm going to cut this W right here. That is going to be my M, and that is going to be my N. I'm going to just straight up duplicate that. Whoa, you hear this excitement? So the M and the N should have been a pretty easy twofer. I think the N worked out pretty good. Group that, and I'm going to actually go ahead and mush it into one and do a couple things. We're going to make like an ink trap there. All right, so with the M, I ran into a weird issue. It was a little too awkward. So we're cutting it there and there and rolling it together, and that gives us just a little bit more room. Excuse me. See, I paused it for like a second, but what you don't realize is while it was paused, I went and made food and ate food. Did some prep for tomorrow food. I will check this message in a moment. It is our youngest, who a little while ago was like, I'm not going to be by the phone for a minute because I'm going scuba diving or something. I don't know. Paddleboarding. They're having some water fun. So I assume that that is finished and they're letting us know. But just to be safe, the text said, I'm back, it was fun. I got myself all tripped out, scared. All right, so I'm actually going to shrink this up a little bit. It's funny that it's using the same kind of all around. All right, how are we going to make a P? From which one? This one? That looks like it might make an interesting P. This one actually probably looks like it would make a better P. But I do want to do a couple things since I used that for the K. had it go up a little bit. I feel like, sorry, my nose is itching. I feel like I want this side to go down a little bit. Just that side and just a little bit. This is going to be my Q. This is going to be my Q's tail. Now, from writing and things in your life, the tail always sticks out that direction there. But every once in a while, it's fun to make one that just sticks right out the bottom. So I think I might do that. Go ahead and group that. I'm going to move the S down a little bit. It still has overshoot, but because this goes out a little bit and that goes in, this is going to be, and we're going to have to make an RS ligature. But the T is also going to need a ligature for everything. So every letter is going to get shrunken down on the right side like that. Is that? We did duplicate the W. Perfect. All right, so we're going to do two things here. We're going to cut this off right here, and that's going to be our V. And then we're going to ride this side up a little bit. And that's going to be our W. I know I didn't do this on anything else, but I'm just going to smooth that down a little bit for some variation. Let's see. I will use that E and the W to make the Z. I will use this T. Wait, I will use this T to make my Y, and I will use these R's to make my X. All right, so from the W, we actually go right to the X, but I am playing fast and loose. All right, so we want to reflect that. Group that. And that's going to give us our X, which performs like a shining star. It's a little left heavy, so. But it looks like somebody like standing and being like, "Whoa," you know, making a proclamation, if you will. So maybe unpopular opinion, but I'm going to make the Y out of this side of the V. Get rid of that ink trap. Rotate it just a little bit. And then this last part is going to be, whoops, what we make our Z with. So let's go ahead and bring these pieces up here. I want my center to be a little smaller on my Y, and I'm going to cut it there. This music is wild, right? Probably gonna get flagged on YouTube. They're gonna be like, we know that song. It's a theme from Dr. Zhivago. All right. I want this to come down a little like there and over. And I think that's a mad decent looking Y, if I don't say so myself. Smooth out that R, smooth out that Z. Just gave the Z a little dip in right there for some added character. And that is our alphabet of the week. That looks pretty good, I think. So now let's go ahead and run that through FontSelf, and we'll make the number set. This is fun. I just realized. So in my document, I also have like space for the YouTube title cards. And then right here is where I'd put what I bring into Procreate to make the alternate sets. So everything kind of lives in this Illustrator document. But I'm realizing that this needs to move down with the guides. Is it going to let me? Yes. It just needs to be below that. And then that puts the rule for the top row where we usually stack them. Just kind of clears this area out so I can zoom in and take screenshots. Anyway, enough about how the sausage is made. Let's get to numbers. So roll that over. All right. So
to take life. I'll teach you of it. Mine, you see, is immortal.
and just to differentiate it from the O a little bit, I'm gonna wiggle out some of these shapes.
I'm sorry, miss.
Just for variation. Whoa. Not necessarily shrinking it in. Oh, I did. Yes, I did shrink it in. But excellent. I want this one to have a little bit of an angle. I want those to reflect on the vertical axis, not the horizontal axis. Or axes, I think we've been saying today. Whatever sounds more fun. In my mind, sorry, I'm just zoning out, thinking like You know, mispronouncing things could be an interesting social experiment to see if anybody like corrects you and how they correct you. Kind of tell you a lot about people, but also how weird you know you're the one mispronouncing things on purpose. So at the end of the day,
bring about the final, complete success of his long-awaited experiments. His delight over modern-day apparatus brought such optimism that he flatly stated that the time was fast approaching in which he would have the answer to his problem of blood separation, and soon would provide.
I actually want to rotate this like that. I really like this 3. I do want this end to just slim up a little bit. That looks like a friggin' lobster claw. Alright. I'm going to do a couple things here. I'm going to cut there, and because I want that to slide in.
Even to her mother, who was beginning to doubt the sincerity of my intentions, Beth persisted in the defense of that in which, even though she knew nothing of the details, she felt was a legitimate and necessary part of my medical programs. As fate would have it, the time arrived when the first real clue to my actions would be heard firsthand. The visitor was a colleague of mine, Dr. Clinton Bernard, who had for years worked side by side with me at the hospital in which we both devoted 2 days a week to the charity patients. Dr. Bernard felt uneasy about his visit and wanted to apologize in advance for bringing news that was not only unpleasant, but perhaps a breach of faith that is held so highly by those in our profession. In coming to Beth at this time,
I just want this piece to angle
in some way derived on a plan that would influence me to the realization
and bring it back over.
that medical career was in jeopardy in the circumstances.
This is actually
Aware of. He told Beth quite frankly that I had been observed on 2 occasions inside the hospital lab during the hours
pretty interesting.
normally dark, and such entrance is strictly forbidden by anyone in the hospital employ. It was found that several
I was like, I thought this was a zombie movie,
missing from the shelf,
but it seems more like an educational film or like one of those old health class movies. I can't think of
had access to.
what they call them. Maybe it is just educational films.
Evaluation of what she heard, and was relieved that Dr. Bernard had come to her instead of the authorities. Her faith in me was admired by Dr. Bernard, but unfortunately not shared, as while he had not himself actually seen the act of theft taking place,
That 8
there was little doubt in his mind as to who was responsible.
feels a little wide on the bottom.
She would take definite action at
So I have an idea.
suspicions that to her mind were not
I'm going to merge these and then ungroup them because they got grouped together when I merged them. I want this actually needs to go up quite a bit and in and maybe out just a little bit. That looks pretty good. And we said the bottom looks too big. So I think just making the circle a little bigger will help with that. But then also like, so this angle now is coming in. But
Turn on the light. What's wrong? I've begun to age.
this wonkiness,
Blood supply.
unevenness or whatever
Your plasma compounds are no use.
fits.
Get into the natural state. No. Idiot. Poor, weak fool.
And that gives us a pretty good looking 8.
I should let you die.
And that's a pretty decent looking alphabet, if I don't say so myself. If I don't say so myself, I don't think anybody will. So here we go. Let's just dive right in. Fancy. Where are we at with time right now? We are at 34 minutes. Holy moly. Do you think we can complete this in 25 minutes? Because if we can't, then we're doomed. OG. And I'm going to delete that and put 5 there. So you remember how we're doing this now? We take our O, grab the center, S will give us this tool. We can stretch it a bit. I want this one to not be so vulgar. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that there. These are in a good position to be cut kind of where they're at. I feel like my angle got a little off there. So this one needs to be there, and this one at the bottom probably right there. That feels much better to me. These E's are crying. So in the past, I think I've mentioned Doctor, wake up. Sometimes you have to make the E's a little more even-ish, I guess, because that's gonna end up being your math. And your math has to be kind of even. I actually picked up some new proofing words and documents in the past. I will be the first to tell you, but I've been pretty terrible at kerning numbers on my fonts. I apologize. I probably will not go back and fix old ones. I may not even start fully doing it. I've always, as a designer, kind of thought of kerning kind of being the designer's job. Like, it's always something I've had to do in like client work and stuff. Also, it's kind of hard. Not that it's hard to do kerning or hard to get it right, but it's kind of hard to deal with things like... Whoa, that was weird. I didn't even read that pop-up. It's kind of hard to deal with things like when you look at your like type panel and there's all these different kinds of kerning. So the designer is making the decision in the end, ultimately, anyway. And I used to always just leave it on auto until I was like, I had this job, and one of the other designers there, like, I was bitching and moaning about this title that I was trying to set, and I had to do so much kerning for it. And then my boss would come in and be like, I don't like that font, change the font or something. And I'd be like, Argh! And then I'd have to go in and like do a bunch of custom kerning on another font, but I actually really enjoy kerning. But he was like, oh, use optical spacing and it'll work better. So I did, and I was like, why is this even a thing that I have to do? Why couldn't people have kerned this properly in the first place? And now here I am, up on my high horse, like, I'm not gonna kern numbers because I'm an evil bad guy. Look at that. Solid. Group. If anybody knows a better way to make an @ symbol, I am totally on board, because I don't like the way that I do it, and there's gotta be a better way to make that italic A. Like, why? Whose idea was that? I'm gonna Google this and get to the bottom of it. Like, let's take a non-italic font and add an italic character. A single story italic A. Sure. You can tell this is not one of my ultimo favorite letters to draw. It just doesn't seem to fit. I used to have a lot of troubles with numbers, and I would always be like, it's because, like, letters are, like, based on a Roman alphabet. You know, like, they're all based on a different alphabet, a different style of writing and drawing, and that's kind of why they're so different and kind of tricky to draw one versus the other. But at the end of the day, like, shut up and draw your numbers, Nick. Right? Alright, so I like that. Nice and middled. That's going to be our M dash group. Into there. And delete. Alright, so this is going to get grouped. I obviously don't shave very often. I usually do it on Mondays because that's a day when I go into the office, or on Sunday the night, before. But I film these videos on Friday when I haven't shaved much the rest of the week, and I am always very itchy. So maybe I'll start shaving before I do these videos. I'll look all fancy next week. Put on something other than a t-shirt. Yeah, right. And if anybody noticed, I don't know, I have a Remedy 667 t-shirt on. Midnight video style. Some of those you can get at spookyfonts.com if you're interested. They're all direct to garment printed, which I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of quality wise, but they look kind of cool. I tried to design them so all the parts that are black are just regular shirt, so that you don't sweat as much.
Right around 10:30. You know, it sounds as if he'd almost gotten there to wait for us.
Group that.
Two of the officers they recall, Delaney and Fitz. Now, they ran a patrol around the entire circumference of Hancock Park between 10:40 and 11 o'clock. They double-checked with the patrolman on duty on the ground. He told them that the man before him had reported everything was quiet. You know, there's no possible place to park around there. There's none permitted, none for miles around. Now, that would pretty well rule out the possibility that she was dragged off in a car, wouldn't it?
Oh, it's so sad. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. This is the last character of the favorite part of the font to draw. It's all junk from here. It's all itchy nose from here. 45 minutes.
Don't you have a chair?
What is this ditching me out on? Equal signs? Yes.
Mrs. Vernon, what's
Let me check this message real. All right.
But then she seemed to know him quite well.
So
For an exchange for medical bills.
I don't know why I'm so mean to say things are or aren't my favorite part of drawing a font. I actually really enjoy the whole process.
I'm frankly concerned
I
she may not have
I like drawing letters.
You see, she left late at night without even changing.
Maybe one day.
And didn't she pack anything? A suitcase?
Well, I told you she was wearing the uniform
I'll,
she works in. She put on a coat and went out the door.
I see. Well, we'll look into
Be known for it.
Vernon. Just give me the name of the doctor she went to see, won't you?
Well, I wish I knew. If I did.
All right, so that's my bar. Group that pretty big.
Kindly give us some information about her.
When I bring this over
We'll start with the address.
to make my dagger and my double dagger, I actually want it way thinner. But instead of squeezing it, I'm going to cut it down the middle. Drag it over. That's good. And the reason I want it thinner is because I kind of want the thickness to match the equal sign. I don't want it to look awkward, like the two parts are disjointed. Like I want it to feel unified. If any of that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, but so
Give it up.
here you can see kind of what I'm talking about.
Malthus, you can't get away with it. Malthus, listen to me. I know what you plan to do. I've read your notes. But what you have in mind will never work. Sure, you have 3 people now and you require a total of 4. So you think. But
I
the
think
first
after this one
you
comes the
make
number
will
sign.
fail.
And normally you see me make the number sign from these, but because everything is thin,
Where are you going to stop? You monster!
you monster.
Monster!
And we're using equal signs
Provided everything
so willy-nilly.
every facility to ensure the successful propagation of his continued fortune. A ready-made life was his to step inside of.
Good. Looks like we got like maybe 15 minutes left in the movie,
Even better,
maybe 15 minutes left in our video. Whoa.
everything seemed in perfect order until death thundered
I want to
once
group
loud
that
warning doors.
and just make that a little even. I want to do $, then not equal. And I'm actually gonna, in the $, I like this coming out on the S, but not in the $. And the reason I don't like it in the $, is because the $, serves a different purpose than the S, and it's less decorative and more functional. So that's why I'm just cleaning that up a little bit. What did I say was next? Not equal. And that's the last time we need an equal sign here, right? So not equal.
Let us touch our hands lightly upon the table.
Go ahead and group that.
Concentrate fully on the forces that will bring help to each individual present this evening. Let us pool our strength and our vibrations, so that each one may concentrate his mind completely and without reservation into the one channel of harmony that will lead us into the realms of ether. Let us put our minds into the one channel and our bodily vibrations into one unified force.
I'm going to duplicate that, and then we can group those.
Be with all our thought power until it is
I'm actually going
reached
to take
at the
some of
one
this
point
grittiness
of
out
combined
and
strength
then
and
add
power
some grittiness
that will allow us
into
penetration into
the
realms
bar.
beyond.
and it'll help kind of make those look cohesive. We're just trying to make things look like they're supposed to function this way.
May we have the first question, please?
So I have not, I know, I had talked about when I was doing the Alfred Hitchcock font that I was going to add some more multilinguals, but I haven't gotten into any of that yet. So, not today, Junior.
Something is wrong with our chat.
I'm going to copy this. Go take a look at my layers. August A. This one's going to be
We're being blocked.
August B.
Oh, I'm
Copy.
sorry. I didn't hear you come in.
Front.
We'll have to start
Perfect.
again.
It's pink, which is what we want. We don't want to be on the guide layer like we normally do. Accidentally. We at 50 minutes yet? 51:04. All right, so it looks like we'll probably finish up punctuation, and then that'll be kind of where we're at.
No, I tried to call him a few minutes ago, but he wasn't in. The desk clerk at the hotel told me to find you, and he gave me a message from the captain. You mind?
Actually, I want this.
Tell me, do you have any new information on your maid?
Not yet.
Well, why did you call?
Well, aren't you curious about what you've seen here?
Mrs. Vernon, when I'm told to go to a place, I go. I've seen lots of peculiar things in my life, but I try not to let my personal opinions interfere with the job.
Oh, did I just kill both of those eyes?
What is
I needed one.
Well, I really don't think that's important to you.
I needed one for
I've only been
my exclamation point when I get to that.
I attended a few sessions as a sitter, and one of the best mediums in the country told me that I would be able to do exactly the same as herself if I look at it. Now, I certainly don't claim to know everything there is to know about it, but I've already met with a certain degree of success.
Well, I'm very
Group.
glad to hear that, Mrs. Vernon.
I was able to get a vision.
Period centered.
It was only
Group. Group.
I saw her locked up behind bars of steel.
I should have.
Vernon, I think
Well, I should have done a couple things. Should have dragged one of those to the middle and duplicated it again.
Say I saw her in jail.
What do I need here? Just an eye?
Page yourself. Well, it was Frida I saw. I'm certain of it.
now, I
All right.
don't know
This,
how you saw,
I'm actually just gonna
or if in fact you saw anything at all. I think some
type an O and an I.
better qualified to discuss that with you anyway. What I am interested in
I don't have my
some information based in fact, and some information that I can follow up on an intelligent basis.
other
Are you planning to
part
work
for my
by
bullet
mediums
recipe,
connected with police departments?
but
Yes, I've heard a little about it.
you know what? Oh snap!
Where the criminal was
Look at
found
this.
within 10 hours after the search began.
Copy.
Talking about the Sebastian murder.
I'm glad I remembered that. That's fun.
I'm also aware that the wire
So group.
pick up a story like that and capitalize on it if they can. Unfortunately, they tend to play up those items that are hottest in news value, and to play down the routine matters that are a little bit dull by comparison. I'm not completely
Transform. Reflect.
for all of their proceedings.
I'm glad I remembered that it had
This meeting is
that
not the only
punctuation because I was
Well, I think you'd find it interesting.
not super feeling what was about to happen with my punctuation.
See, the police had only
All right, same thing with the S having the
Yes. And then the medium
flourish.
kind of a trance and distraction. Right?
a full and factual description. It was unusual because the man was something of a giant, 6'7" or so.
Now they have mud books, the same as we have over here. And how long do you think it will take any police department to filter out all of the suspects that are 6'7"? If you remember the case, that man turned out to have a criminal record as long as your arm.
So you just admitted it was strictly based upon the medium's work and that.
So that was made out of an S and an exclamation point, and that looks good. I'm gonna repeat right here.
I'm only vaguely
That back. That looks good. This one
information on your maid. Now,
I just want to angle it a little bit that way.
That's the way I'll write it in my report.
Uh-oh. Is there still time? 55 minutes. Oh, let's pause this. All right, I dragged these together. Group. This is actually going to get a little smaller just for the euro. And the sterling or pound. Group that. We're at 56 minutes. Holy crap. We might get a pretty decent character set here. Exciting excitement is happening on the tube. All right. This is our curly parentheses. Which are a little extreme, but I feel like saying a little extreme is a little bit of an understatement, but they kind of have to be pretty extreme because the regular parentheses are also very extreme and we don't want them to be confused with each other. All right, this is fun. Group, delete in wide for that F, which sounds like I'm saying S with a lisp, but I'm not. Group, I'm actually gonna want this to be more down. Somebody is very upset. I think it is nap time for movie guy. No. Sorry, that was out of control. I was almost there. Then the movie ended. So,
desired a son, but had undertaken of himself the
we're at 1 hour.
his day and before
That's all you get.
that
We'll finish up this ampersand. But as you can see, so what I was going to say was
laboratory
there was already an ampersand. So we didn't necessarily need to make one, which also means that we get an alternate to our ampersand. So we have a nice thick one, and then we have this thin one that was already part of the whole rigmarole. Select this and make our it's a beautiful thing. All right. Anybody want to stay and watch us bust out diacritics and smalls? And that'll take us right past the finish line. Went just a little over an hour. I think I was originally, for some stupid reason, thought that I could have done this in an hour. That was not the case. But that's all right. Let me pause this, build out my scratch face, and then we'll go ahead and put together smalls and diacritics. All right, let's hop on the diacritic bandwagon. All right, so there's some stuff that's going to happen here. Our T, like we said, whenever it's going to collide with anything, it is going to become an auto ligature, like this. So that is how our TM is actually going to function. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that above it, because that probably will end up having to be a ligature. For just want that. This can get rotated. So that time, when I paused the video, that was all I did was made the font. I didn't go eat anything. I cut that down for the same reason I removed the swash from the S earlier on the $sign, because an asterisk is more of a functional character. And honestly, putting an asterisk in a display font seems kind of weird, because I feel like whenever I use an asterisk, even if I'm using a display font, I will take it to like generic kind of Gothic style typeface, like, for lack of a better word, Helvetica or something similar in that wheelhouse. Just to make it stand out a little more, because it's usually so small, and when you use it, it's normally because you're telling people like, oh, this is you know, it's usually for some like legal tidbits, like prepared with machinery that also produces peanuts or whatever, you know, like eggs, crawfish, crawdad are made to order, but we don't serve them raw. That was not the legalese at all, but that was something that I used to have to put on menus a lot. It was similar to that, and that usually almost always required an asterisk next to either whatever foods that you were talking about, or yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about. Talking about diacritics. So I use the Magic Mouse, which just has like the blank top. I got a black one. I had to pay like $10 more for it. The reason I got a black one is because my work computer is like exactly the same, and that one has a white mouse. And so I have two mice just sitting next to each other. So I don't know. They have to be different colors or else it's confusing. And the Magic Mouse only comes in these colors. But anyway, I am totally losing my point, forgetting what I'm saying. But so with the Magic Mouse, you can do something pretty cool that... Is there a bar? There it is. And the C? Yes. If I'm like, oh, I want the angle of this to be different, I can just highlight the cursor over and then change, like, move my finger on the Magic Mouse. If you could make InDesign work like that, that would be friggin' awesome, Adobe. Because InDesign is the reason for the season. That is the program in Adobe Suite. That is like, I mean, obviously, I'm in it pretty deep with Illustrator too, but like for work, InDesign is where I get down, and I wish that it had some similar functionalities. I also wish that Illustrator did some things that it used to, but it no longer does, which is annoying. Like tabbing on there to get to the next one. Used to just be able to go tab and it would take you straight down, but now it wiggles you through all these damn check boxes for no reason. Frustrating. Fix it, Adobe. maybe people like being able to go through all the... Oh, maybe I want to hide my layer. No, I normally just want to rename things pretty quick. But yeah, those are my two gripes. And if they asked for feedback better in their feedback forms they send you, I would give them that feedback to their face. All right, so this is the last of it. All right, so that is our alphabet. It's all caps here, but we can type like Night of the Blood Beast and see kind of how this is going to look. It's definitely going to need tracked in a little tighter. And that'll all happen when we get into glyphs. I need to build ligatures for the T. Add alternates. But yeah, basically not too bad. It's similar to a lot of fonts that I've made in the past, but I'm enjoying it. Let me actually tighten the kerning in the smart kerning, and we're going to take this right from 45 down to 25. I feel like that looks a little better already. I'm gonna try it at 20, and I think that will make it look even better. I feel like this, the only problem with it here is if we get down to a small size, is it going to mush together too much, you know? Like maybe we do want it to be at 25 instead of 20. Not that it's going to be used at that small of a size, but you never know. I think that looks good. But like I said, the T, the S, they just need a little tightened on either side. And I think this is going to be a pretty fun looking piece of lettering. And yeah, Right now it's called Hideous. Probably won't be. That seems like a name for a font that may already exist. But maybe we'll give it a Garbage Pail Kid name. I don't know. Who knows? Whatever. We're crazy. Make your own world. There's our alphabet. 2 hideous tales of torture and terror. I've been your host, Nick from Remedy 667, and you just watched Horror Font Friday. Go to Remedy 667 and check out some fonts. And let us know if you want us to release this one, because we're taking a break from releasing. Because making title cards is not fun. See you next week for Horror Font Friday.